Damn.
Yeah,
Oh, hi,
we're cool.
Alistair.
Long
That's a
time
voice
no
I haven't
speak
heard
to
in ages.
Alistair. What was I gonna say? We're doing the second part, right? Of
Yeah,
episode 4?
episode 3, the
Episode 3.
Bill and Frank. Cause I think we got to the part right when they are about to, do the ditty, and then go from there.
Love that.
Yeah. All right,
They
let's
fucked.
see. You know what? Fine. If you want to put it in a more crass way, yes, they fucked. But they fucked while in love.
And it was the best because apparently it allowed them to stay and get married eventually. So
Yeah. So well, how about we start it, I guess, by doing this. Hello and welcome to the TVD Tavern, traveler. Welcome on in. Grab yourself a pint, go talk to our barkeep. We'll continue on our conversation about The Last of Us Episode 3.
Yes, it was getting to the good part. The part that we all were waiting for, where they both got together and they started knitting. Just kidding. Not knitting. Definitely not knitting.
No, but
Though,
I do.
Uh-huh. Go ahead.
Oh, go on. No. You.
It was gonna be a side tangent. I'm gonna be real. It was a side tangent. It was gonna be like, hey, by the way, just wanted to let you know that speaking of knitting, I just started learning how to crochet, which is not knitting, right? But I did. Moose actually gave me as a birthday present like an entire little starter kit. Got me the material book on how to, and she got me the needles.
Nice.
But yeah, so I started learning how to crochet because I needed a different hobby that's not just video games and content creation. So it's been stressful. My ADHD does not allow me to move forward unless I perfect something. So it's been a slow process. But yeah. Sorry, that was a side tangent. That was not even relevant.
No, I mean, you brought up knitting, and it led to that. I totally get it. I feel that though about having a different hobby. Real quick, let's just go off on a tangent. Let's just get our tangents out of the way real quick. I feel that for sure because, right now, with the two shows that I'm in, with where one of them is opened and then the other one is getting ready. It's hard because there's video games and has become kind of like the little reprieve for a little bit of time, but then there's a part of me that gets into the whole am I being productive with this? Am I really doing something that is helpful for me? And it reminds me a lot of the discussion with my therapist about what is really rest for me, because I have this weird love but also guilt driven relationship with video games or shows where it's like I enjoy them, but I end up feeling guilty because I feel like I waste a lot of time. So it gets kind of hard to navigate that. But having a different thing like reading or writing or doing something like hanging out with you and recording a podcast, that's also feels like a really good way to rest because it's hanging out, but also doing something that feels like it's good self-care and rest.
Yeah. I mean, I don't feel guilty about playing video games. Maybe I should. You're a better adult than I am. But I guess I just needed something different, than just the usual. Because to a point, I guess, just like economics, right? Once you start, if you eat a burger at first, it's delicious. And if you eat a second one, okay, it's still pretty good. But then once you start eating too many burgers, then it's like, So that's what the video games was starting to turn for me. I'd find myself sometimes loading up Destiny and I was like, and trying different games too. And I was like, so the crocheting has added definitely something different for me. So
Yeah.
it's been a good balance on a different hobby to do. Hopefully I get better at it. If not, it's cool. It's not like we spent a lot of money on it. You know, she gave me like 3 different colors to use. So it's not that bad. It's not that bad.
And for the record, what my therapist was saying was like, I shouldn't feel bad about playing video games, because if that is like a form of rest for me, then I should enjoy it. It's just more of, I think it stems more from how my parents would constantly, when I was younger, go like, you're wasting your life by playing video games. Like, you're wasting your opportunities and wasting your chances at growing and becoming something. Not like, they didn't say it in this way, but it's one of those implied things, you know, where they're like, well, you could have been spending your time writing, or you could have spent your time doing some hobby that's more productive. And really, you know, as humans, we don't always need to be productive 100% of the time. But I think we live in a world where it feels like we have to constantly be working towards something. And that's just where it stemmed from. So like, my therapist wasn't telling me to like, what my therapist was trying to actually teach me that like, so if I feel guilty about video games, then find other avenues of self-care. But playing video games isn't something that you should feel guilty about, is what she was getting at.
No, yeah, and you shouldn't, because I mean, you work hard, man. I mean, we work hard, and there was this shorts on YouTube that I was watching for this group where this girl who, it's like they're role playing, like being in a role playing game, an MMORPG. And they sewn in her and her friend, and she's got like all this gear from like somebody that's been grinding, working hard. You know, it looks really nice. And he's like, "Oh wow, your gear looks so great." And she's like, "Oh yeah, you know, I've been working really hard. It's been taking me months or whatever, but you know, I finally got this gear and blah blah blah." And then while she's trying to explain all of that, you can hear him doing something on his menu, and then out of nowhere, boom, he just like loads out this like badass gear and everything. And she's like, "Whoa. How did you get that?" It's like, "Oh, well, if you go to the store here, you can buy it." And she's like, "Really? You bought all that? Like, without even having to grind or put hours for it?" You know, I really hate that people. And he's like, "You know what? I'm sorry that this bothers you, right? And that it's a big issue. Oh, I'm sorry that I chose to, instead of spending the hours that you spend grinding, I chose them to go to school, go and prepare myself, take tests for certifications, work over 40 hours every week just to make money to be able to do this thing that's called the disposable have this thing called disposable income, to maybe give myself a little bit of a treat to kind of make it easier on me of like the monotone things of life, you know?" And she was like, "Oh shit, I guess I never thought about it that way." Right. So because I have a couple of friends that like, they grind. That's all they do. They grind a shit ton, but I don't have that time. Like, not everybody has that ability. Like, some of us work 10-hour days, you know, or some of us work 50, 60-hour days. Like, that's just how our careers work. Like, it is what it is. So yeah, sometimes I buy things from the store and like that, but it's not even like items that give me a better opportunity than other people. It's just cosmetics, right? Yeah. But a couple of friends are always telling me that it's like pay to win, but it really isn't pay to win. I just look better than them. It is what it is. Well, but I think, you know.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think for some people, it kind of depends. Like, I agree with you in that perspective of, right, like, you know, I'm not there. When I was younger, grinding in video games was something that I would totally do, 100%, because I had more time to get my homework done. I had like 4 or 5 hours before I went to bed. Of course, I'm gonna go play the video game and then like try to get the best loot and the best gear and the best weapon, and I would work my butt off to get it. But like, and so I get why some people who are, you know, who probably put a lot of time into it, it feels like it's an accomplishment to get what they got because they didn't have to spend money to do it. And then I also can understand how they feel when they see someone just like buy it. But I agree with what you're saying. It's like, it's that weird line of like, I think it just comes off as like when somebody buys it right in front of them, and then it comes off as like it feels like it undermines how they feel or like what they did to accomplish what they did. But then also at the same time, I do agree with you in that like some of us just don't have time, and it's not a bad thing if you're able to buy it. Like, and I don't think for some people it's not intentional in undermining a person's accomplishments. It's just like, cool, you got that. Now I get to enjoy it too because I was able to buy it. Like it's a thing. I think it's just more like when some people feel like it's when that happens, they feel like it's as if saying, "Oh, you didn't have to spend all this time to get it."
The work.
Yeah. But that's not the point.
Yeah. It happens a lot when I'm able to buy the season passes, and some friends have to grind, right, to be able to get the in-game currency to be able to buy the season passes. But like, I don't, and it is what it is, man. But that's the rant about video games.
But I had something and then I completely lost it. But I get what you're saying.
You're good.
It's definitely one of those things where sometimes if you just have the money for it, and if you want to spend it however you want to spend it, you should be able to feel safe. You should be able to feel like you can spend it without being rebuked for it. Like, take care of yourself. Self-care. Whatever it is for you, you just got to do it. Yeah.
Exactly. But anyways, going back to Bill and what's up?
Well, I was just gonna tie in the show into what you brought up with Moose getting you the crocheting thing for your birthday. I think it's really cool because that's a really cool way of showing love and kind of like an act of love, of recognizing that you were looking for a hobby outside of video games. So she got you that and got you something that was easy to start with and then move forward. And I love that how it reminds me of what goes into the next part of this episode, which is where Frank tells Bill about acts of love and like how being able to get the equipment he needs to do lawn care and yard work and maintenance around their little area is like an act of love. I thought that was just, the whole discussion on love languages and stuff like acts of service. Like, the gift giving is beautiful, but then also it's an act of service in the sense of its intention to help you with what you're looking for. Because for you,
exactly,
like Moose was like, hey, it's Moose going, oh, you said you wanted something outside of video games. Here's something that I think would really suit you and what's something that you might like to try. So I just wanted to tie that in. I thought that was really cool. And Moose, that was awesome. She's awesome. So I'm glad she did that for me. And I guess that's one of the beautiful things of this relationship that Bill and Frank develop, right? Is that it's not like, it's not like it can't be passionate, but it's kind of like they have each other's back, like in a real way, like at an emotional and physical way. And immediately they developed this really close friendship. It's like I said in the last episode, it's like they were just kind of meant to be. And I know it's more like the romantic side of me that chooses to believe that. But they just kind of like fit perfectly, like a puzzle. They just complement each other so well, and they're like a very good yin yang to each other. One's too extreme, and the other one is like too planted on the ground. It just kind of drags them back in. It's like, no, dude, chill. Like, we can trust people. And the other one's like, you're too easygoing. Chill out. We also have to be mindful of like, our security. Kind of like when they have that scene of where he wants to kind of like fix up the city, right? And he's like, but why? He's like, because it gives me sanity to see things kind of normal, And you could argue that, I could pose like a security thing in a way, or like, why are you using our resources that we could be using to make our lives, be more comfortable for a longer period of time? But I like that he also recognizes that he needs that to be able to stay sane. So they have that like
they barter, right? They have this kind of like, okay, that's fine, you can do this, but not the rest of the city. And he's like, fine, I'll only do these certain shops. So you're right? Similar to what Moose did. Like he kind of said, hey, he needs this for his mental health, or like just to kind of be able to survive, not just buy food, right, and sleep and somewhere safe to eat, but because humans are not like animals, right? They don't just need food, water, and somewhere safe to be all the time. Our minds require stimulation, but also because of that stimulation, we require like a certain things to be able to keep us sane, right?
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people go crazy when they're alone, and or why people have gone crazy by those tests where they lock them into those rooms and like they keep them away from the light and they're just in the dark. Like we require stimulation, but in a positive manner, because I guess too much stimulation also can be detrimental to people's mental health. But I like how throughout the entire story they're able to show us how, I don't know, man, it's just too much of a perfect relationship that they show us, and how their friendship just kind of develops so quickly. I wish we could have seen actually a little bit more to kind of see like the little, I guess, mistakes or missteps that they made maybe with each other little by little. But even then, like, it's crazy how they made us fall in love with this couple in such a perfect way, to the point where we started seeing the couple not by the sexes, right, like their genders, but by their actions and how they're doing their day by day. Because I'll be honest with you, looking back at the first time when I saw that story, I didn't look at it as two gay men. I just kind of saw it as two people, and kudos to the writers for being able to put it in a way where we saw them that way. I mean, yeah, we had the sex scene, but even that wasn't like of poor taste, Yeah. We didn't. I don't know. I don't know what your thoughts were on that, on how.
I think it's interesting that you bring up the way that it's set up. Like, you didn't think of them as being gay, that they were just a couple. And I think that's really how it should be, right? Like, there shouldn't be a focus on two men being in love with each other. We should just recognize instead that this is a very beautiful relationship with its flaws and all. I mean, the whole entire thing is, in this scene, what makes it powerful is they look like a normal couple of, like, they're having a little spat where they're kind of disagreeing on something and they're at two different crossroads. But what we see is that Frank is able to, like, really bring out what he's trying to say that he needs and why he needs it and why it's important to him. And what we see on Bill's side is, even though Bill is kind of like, oh God, why do you need to do this? There's no point to it. Everything is fine. Like, you see a moment of recognition. And again, this goes back to talking about Ron Offerman's really amazing ability to say things without saying things out loud. You recognize in the moment that he's understanding what his partner is saying when he's saying this is an act of love, because you can kind of read in his mind. So he's saying that he needs these things because this helps him, and I love him to where I want him to be able to get what he needs. So I'm going to do this even if I don't agree. There's just a lot in that moment that shows like how a healthy relationship should be. Or like any relationship, whether we mark it as perfect or not, there's always going to be some little, rumblings here and there, because we're human and we're all different, and we've grown up in different perspectives, whatever it may be. But what was beautiful about it was that how they were able to both come together and find a resolution together. And I think it's important to show that in the circumstance, because Bill is someone who is much more like, yeah, I could be. I mean, you see the way that he was set up. He was ready to just be by himself for the rest of his life. He never
Yeah,
expected to have anybody else in here. And here's this one person who's already changed his world as it is, who accepts him for who he is, who makes him feel like it's okay to be himself and to love another man and to find, a love that he didn't think was viable. And now he's learning what comes with that. And so I love even more so how Frank is trying to also make sure that Bill doesn't feel alone, even though he thinks he could handle being alone. Especially because after he brings up the whole I need to do this for myself, I need to do this for us. We do these things as acts of love. He goes, by the way, we're gonna have friends over, and you just see Bill going like, what? And like wanting to fight it, but then he can't. And then of course the next shot is we have like Bill or Joel and Tess over, and Bill's got his gun on the table eyeing Joel, and Joel is looking at him, and you can tell that they're both like from the same side of the coin. They both see each other as like, yeah, I don't really want to get to know you because this world is dangerous, and putting yourself out there with another person that you don't know is a risk, because I think in an apocalyptic setting, you have to do constant risk assessment and management. You have to ask yourself, like, is this person really someone I can risk getting to know? What is the dangers of it? Is there anything that's setting off those flags or whatever? So I found it interesting how Tess and Frank were basically the same person, and also Bill and Joel were the same person. How, like, what Tess does for Joel is what Frank does for Bill. It kind of just shows, like, how love in whatever capacity it may be, whether it's friendship, romantic, platonic, etc., really keeps us connected, keeps us hopeful, and keeps us alive regardless of the conditions. So I think in that way, it kind of shows to us that Tess and Joel's relationship, in a way, is also perfect for what it needs to be for the characters.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it goes to show you how different but the same the relationship is with Tess and Tess and Joel's versus Frank and Bill's. Like, they're the traditional man and woman, and then man and man. They still kind of like have that same, you can still have that same sort of balance and energy and support. If anything, I think Bill and Frank's relationship was better than maybe not. I don't know. Maybe no. I think they were the same. I'll be fair to Tess, because I think Tess did a really good job keeping Joel always in check and balanced, and knowing what to tell him, how to do things. I mean, he kept them alive, right? I mean, she kept them alive all these years after such a great loss, because I don't know why, but I'm not a parent, but I've always seen that I feel like a loss of a kid hurts more than losing your significant other. So Joe going through that, I feel like what was much harder than losing, as, or I don't know. I guess, I'm sorry. I kind of like, I don't know. I'm at a loss, because I think, what do you think would be more painful to you? Would it be harder for you to lose your kid, or do you think it'll be harder to lose your partner?
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think there's really a comparison to me, and I say that just because, like, in general, losing someone is always going to be hard no matter what. I can see it from like a parent's perspective, like the reason why it would be gut wrenching to lose a kid is because the whole entire point is you brought this kid into the world. They have a life ahead of them, and you've already lived yours. Like, that's pretty much what it's like. It's like passing on life and saying, like, you have so much left to gain, to lose, to experience. Like, losing a kid basically loses that potential and that promise of what life is supposed to bring. And it hurts to see, also it's the lineage thing, right? Like you are my legacy, you carry on my name or our name, you are what is the next generation. So I can see why that's devastating, but at the same time, like, I don't know if I want to say it's harder than losing a significant other in a sense of like, if I lost my partner who has known me for years, who has accepted me through all my flaws, who has helped me to become a better person, who has really helped me navigate probably a lot of traumas I don't share with many people, or has helped me to see the world in a way that is different. Like, I don't think that's a comparison. I just think in terms of loss, like, they both bring that. Like with a kid, again, like a kid changes you too. They change your world because you start living for them. You start wanting to support them in their dreams. You live for their hopes and their aspirations and their goals. You live for their successes and their failures. You live for everything that they experience in the hopes that they can become the adult that they want to be. But like, I feel like a partner helps you to become the person you want to be. And so I think in that regard, like, I don't know, for me personally, I don't think I could say either one is worse than the other, but I can see how in Joel's circumstances, given how what we've seen in the show and in the game and like in what was going on, like, his daughter was the last remnant of a world that was normal, of a world that used to be what it was before, and of his world too. I mean, yeah, he had Tommy, and yeah, like, sure, he has family to what we can assume or know, but this was his baby girl. This was his last, like, direct family. Not just his brother, but like, his own daughter. So yeah, you're right. Like, it was devastating. It would be devastating. He lost his daughter and the world ended. And it's hard to come back from that. Even with Tommy being there for him before he met Tess and them wandering and helping people, like, it makes sense why he was a shell of who he was. And that's what makes, I think, Tess such a powerful, prominent figure in the series. Is Tess, even though Joel was still kind of like the gruff, like, her and whatever, and like hard ass, you could still see the way that she made him warm and tender in other ways. Mm-hmm. You saw how she brought out those feelings for Joel in some capacity. So like, when we're saying goodbye to Tess at the beginning of this episode, even though he seems calm and collected and he's focused on it, he's doing that to honor Tess. But I have no doubt in my mind that Joel would mourn by himself if he was by himself, and he would fall back into the shell of who he once was. I think that's why, like, both losses are equal in their devastation. It's just different. It's just different in the devastation that's left. That's
gotcha.
That's from the death.
You're again proving you're a better adult than me. It just reminded me of something funny though, because Moose and I have always joked that, for example, especially because we were just playing Phasmo, if we ever moved into a house, right, and we had kids, and one of the kids became possessed, right? We said, okay, as soon as we see the kid starting to talk to somebody, or the kid starts changing voices, we're just gonna move out and we're gonna leave the kid. We'll just spawn a new one. So,
it's fine.
We're like, it's cool. We can just make another one. It's all right.
Yeah.
To my future kids, if you ever listen to this episode, it is what it is, man. All right. Look, I said what I said. I have no regrets. Listen, man. Okay, you look at some spooky ass some shit that your kid starts doing. I want to see you not run away. What are you gonna do? Grab onto the kid, hug him, be like, "Oh, I love you." No, you fucking chuck that. You yeet it across the room, and you grab a crucifix and maybe even stab the kid with it. And you run away. Okay. So I'm sorry. I guess in that scenario, I'm okay with losing the kid. I'm
like,
kidding.
it's fine. We'll make another kid. It's all right. We're good. We don't.
It's okay. Well, it's just.
Why do we need this offspring?
Anyway.
You know what? It's that was the trial run. That's what it was. It was the trial run.
Yeah, that's funny. Yes. That Moose and I have said it's okay. Let's be real. The first and the second kid, we're probably gonna fuck them up, right? So like, by the third one and the fourth one, we already know what we're doing, you know. So it's okay, you know. We'll just it's fine. We'll just make a new one. It's fine.
To Silver's future kids,
burn the house.
I sincerely apologize. You heard it here, future Silver's children. You heard it here. If you're the first or the second one, okay.
I said what it said, guys. I'm sorry. You know. By now, you should know Dad is very honest and he does not mess around. So don't get possessed is all I can say. And you won't be abandoned or burned down with the house, you know? Because we're burning the shit out of that house. You best believe that house is going to get burned. Yeah, for sure. And if you're possessed, you're burning with the house. I'm sorry, buddy. Or daughter. Anyways, before I cancel myself any further, we were talking about.
God, hashtag Silver's canceled every week. It's gonna be the same tweet, the same hashtag, just Silver's canceled or what else?
I'm just gonna aim for every episode that we record to find a new way to get canceled somehow.
And each tweet is going to list the reasons why you're canceled for every episode of the podcast. Got it. Yeah.
Hashtag cancel Silver. Hashtag bad parent.
Yeah. But, you know, getting back into this and talking about like Tess and Frank, Bill, and Joel, I think what I found funny was like Frank and Tess are just like, let's let them sort it out and let's go talk and do our own thing and have like their own time. And you just see them like Bill and Joel just sizing each other up. And then Joel's like, yeah, like, I get how you feel, but you know, we could make this more like a partnership where if there's anything in the QZ that we can get you, we'll get it for you, and we ask you for supplies, and then we're good. And it's just kind of like that's enough for them. Like we don't need to be friends. We'll just do that. And it seemed like that was just Joel trying to compromise with Bill, and Bill being like, "Yep, that's good enough for me." Compared to Tess and Frank being like friends and like talking about the town and like the work that's being done and all that. It was just so funny to see how that played out because it felt like that was the most the most accurate type of conversation Bill and Joel would ever have. It would never be in any other way.
Yeah. But I'm also glad that what's it called? Frank ran that risk of inviting Joel and Tess because they also are the reason we have that beautiful scene of Bill and Frank eating those delicious strawberries, dude.
Yeah.
Without the seeds that Frank traded for a gun. They would have never had that beautiful scene because it was such a nice little scene because it was like a surprise, like, hey, guess what? I've been growing all this time, you know, because you get to see them go about their normal day. And it was such an adorable scene to me, at least. It's one that like it really sticks to my mind. I mean, the entire episode sticks to my mind so well. By the way, listeners, every single time we've done one of these episodes regarding The Last of Us, I normally watch the episode again very quickly, or I know Ambu has too. But for this one episode, it's so like tattooed to me that I haven't had the need to go back and look at the episode to remember all the sweet scenes that this episode had, and all the such like romantic, there you go, that's the word I was looking for, such romantic scenes that they give us in this episode. And one of the special ones was the strawberries. I thought that was like such a sweet thing that they exchange between each other. But also because I think it was good that they spoke. I guess Bill, even though he's like a prepper, he never considered raiders, right? And I think Joel warns him about the raiders, right? Because he mentions some stuff about his perimeter fences and how he can provide him some materials, right? On how to better the fence, because raiders could come. And I think he does supply him with things. And I think it was also one of the reasons why they were able to survive it so well. Granted, Bill does get, it's Bill, right? Bill's the one that gets shot.
I think so. I'm trying to remember.
I think it was Bill that gets shot because, I think he's the first one that notices that the raiders. Okay. It's Bill that gets shot, and I know that Frank comes afterwards, also shooting right when gets a gun, and then helps him get back into the house because the fences, the upgrades that he got from Joe were basically taking care of things on their own, and they were able to stay safe. Let me know if we're speeding through this too quickly, because right after they get back into the house, I think they do like a fast forward already, right? Where they're a bit older, right?
Mm-hmm. But let me cut it way back to the strawberry thing.
Please,
real quick, just because we've definitely zoomed from the midway point of the episode to very much towards the tail end. But what I wanted to point out about the strawberries and what it's symbolic of is a lot of what Frank talks about with his the thing about acts of love and service is he talks about how care and work and upkeep and maintenance and all that, doing the town is an act of love because you're upkeeping the things that matter to you, right? You are working to keep things together. That's the whole point of that whole scene is saying if you really love something, it isn't just you love it and then it's done. It's you have to put in the work, because in any relationship, to keep it healthy, you have to be willing to put the work in. You have to be willing to take the risks or to take chances, to be open and be vulnerable and be honest and be truthful. And it's not always easy, but the work is worth it. And what I love about the scene with the strawberries is kind of again how that's the result of Frank's labor. That's the result of his work. It's symbolic of the relationship, of when you put the work in there, see what we can bloom together, see what comes from it, see the beauty of it. And so what makes that scene so powerful to me is how it symbolizes even through everything that they've been through, that they continue to work on their love, and that their love is as sweet as that strawberry. And then also to get into what you're talking about, Joel basically tells him how his defenses were starting to break down because of the type of materials he used. So Joel was saying we could get you that to protect the town better, and it does help later on as we see it on that rainy night. But I just wanted to talk about the strawberry thing because I think it's such a profound moment, because in this world of The Last of Us, right? The world of The Last of Us is a cruel and uncaring and unflinching world where you make one tiny mistake and everything can go to hell, because everybody's fighting for what's left of resources, what's left of the world, whatever they can handle, on top of fighting each other. You are fighting the clickers, you're fighting the zombies, you are fighting everything under the sun to survive. But here we have this moment that shows what the central theme of The Last of Us is, which is that love, as cliche and tropey as this is going to sound, is that love is what gives us hope. Love is what gets us to see another day. Love is what keeps us alive. Human connection, human bonds, everything that we imagine about, how we as a community, we build our communities and we work together, we help to support each other through our lows and to congratulate each other when we're at our highest moments. That's what's so beautiful about that moment, is showing this very poignant moment that even with everything around them being broken down and apocalyptic and it's the end of the world as we know it, their love is able to shine through. And it's all because of a goddamn strawberry. But like but yeah, that's just such a powerful symbolic moment to me in that show. Because like sure, you've got like, you know, the Raiders fight, the part where Bill fights off the Raiders with like the traps and everything and Frank saves him. But that moment, kind of like what you said, is really just like something I will always remember because of how pivotal it is and how necessary it is as a reminder to the viewer that like as long as you trust your relation, as long as you like have those connections with those that you love, you'll get through anything.
And strawberries, guys, go ahead and support your strawberry farmers out there.
100%.
Love and strawberries. That would have been a good episode. Episode name.
Oh, that should have been the title.
That's going to be our title though for this episode. We're going to do Love and Strawberries. I'm just going to make sure I write that down as well because we can put that in ours. Love and Strawberries. Boom. So we don't miss a perfect title. It's funny how it's like the simplest things is what keeps people together. That's why I try and always be like a very simple person that anything makes me happy. Moose knows this very well. Moose can be very picky about specific things like, let's say food, right? She's very particular about food and everything, but she knows very well that if she wants to make me happy, she just needs to give me any kind of treat. It doesn't really matter. Like I'm a simple man, guys. Like, you can give me chocolate, I'll be like, thank you. I appreciate you. I will owe you forever. I will love you always, and I will always have your back. Or you can give me a bag of peanuts, and I'll be like, yeah, I got you, bro. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just thankful for anything that I'm given by my significant other. That just it could be anything because. Just to give you more insight about it into, for example, my relationship with Moose, we have two different completely opposite careers. Granted, when we met each other, we had very similar, but now we have two separate careers, and my career affords me to have more disposable income than she does. So a lot of times whenever she's buying me stuff, she makes it, right? And she's always told me that she feels a bit guilty that, you know, some of her gifts are crafted and made. But to be honest with you, those gifts that she makes me, I take care of them so much more that if she would have bought me like, I don't know, a PlayStation, or if she bought me a television or something like that, I cherish it so much. And it means so much to me, you know? Because it's a little piece of her that is given to me, and I still have a lot of the things that she gave me when we were dating. So a strawberry is like the most simplest little exchange that they have, and it's such a sweet, no pun intended on strawberries, but. But I'm glad that they were able to find those little joys in this type of like challenge mode world where you're consistently, like you said, trying to just survive zombies, raiders, the day-to-day tasks of trying to keep yourself alive within your safe area, your own mind that's consistently fighting against you, right? Because if you don't have something to distract you, your brain's consistently just trying to like eat itself, kind of like I think of the mind similar to your stomach, that if you don't put food in your stomach starts eating itself, right? Well, I think that the mind, if you don't stimulate it, it begins to degrade and eat itself. So I think on a daily basis, we're always fighting that as well, not just like hunger. I think we're all hunger. All of the human body or the humanity is basically should represent the sin of hunger, because we hunger for love, we hunger for food, we hunger for stimulation of some sort, we hunger for attention, we hunger for wanting to belong, we hunger for everything, right? We need it, right? And even if it's not for attention, or you're the type of other person that hungers even for like individuality, hungers for their own personal time alone from everybody else. Like we're always hungering for something. Sorry, I just came to that realization right now. That's crazy. I don't know if you agree with me on that one, Ambu, or what do you think?
I am at a loss for words right now. I'm sorry.
You're fine. Okay, I think it just maybe blew Ambu's mind for a second there. But I'm glad that Frank and Bill are able to keep each other in check with those hungers that they both have, those needs, right? Bill's need to feel like, I guess in a way, Frank gives him that reassurance that Bill has always had for himself of like, I'm just going to prep for this and I'll feel safe. But never considered his emotional and mental health. And Frank is that reassurance. He is that safety net. He is that perimeter gates, those guns, right? That's what Frank is to Bill's mind and his heart, right? And vice versa for Frank. He seems to be a very reassured individual. He's safe of himself, what he is, of his emotional and mental health, but his physical safety is Bill, who provides that actual physical fence, those weapons, the knowing that Bill's gonna know how to keep them safe from everybody else out in the world. So it's cool how they've been able to keep each other's hunger in check in that way. And it's even moving on to their older age, which, by the way, I'm surprised that Frank ended up in a wheelchair, man.
Yeah.
But
No, please keep going. I was gonna continue on when you were done saying whatever you're gonna say.
I'm done. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say I don't think they ever talk about what Frank had.
No,
because I feel like hinted that Frank had an illness, because we saw that in the night that he saves Bill. Is that he's, I think, right? Or no, it was after that. It was when he was painting, and we saw Frank having to take
yeah.
And he was like, and he has an illness, and we see again Bill as an act of love, like Bill carrying Frank to the bed and getting him situated. So Bill was becoming Frank's caretaker now, which is a whole other dynamic and role that I feel a lot of partners have to sometimes experience. It is a very difficult one to be through, or to be right. Like, it's because you love this person, but the amount of work it takes to be a caretaker is a whole other level. And that's not to diminish or to say that, like, to cut anyone down or to say like people can't handle it. It's more like being a caretaker is firing on all cylinders 24/7, because you have to always be aware, you always have to be present, you have to be focused on making sure that they're okay at all times. You have to know, like, you have to have a routine set up, you have to have things ready to go. You're making sure you're taking care of them while taking care of everything else at the same time. And it is a lot of work. And I think, if I remember correctly, we see this later on where Frank is acknowledging what Bill has done for him all this time since he's had this illness. And if I'm remembering correctly, Frank is saying he's ready to go, right? Like the proverbial, he's ready to, he's done. Because because like, not only is it because he feels for Bill, it's being his caretaker, but also it's the quality of life thing. And it's hard to like, I think for what I feel like there's two perspectives for Frank in this situation. One is he can't really, his quality of life is going down more and more, and it's harder and harder to grapple with that, because I think for anybody it is like, you want to live, but you don't want to live in seeing yourself basically deteriorating. And then also for Bill, because he can't, in this case, really, he doesn't know how much more he can provide to satisfy I guess, Bill's hunger mentally, it's time to go. And it would be easier so that way Bill can take care of himself and do what he needs to do for himself. That's probably what his thought process is. And it's a heartbreaking scene to watch because you can see how much Bill is like, I don't want you to do this. Let's find a doctor. Let's find something for you. But Frank is trying to be selfless by saying, no, I need to do this for you. And it's a very powerful scene that just breaks my heart when thinking about it.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's because I think we all can relate in a way, but also at the same time, we all know that is going to eventually, not the same thing, but something similar is going to happen to every single one of us, right? Mm-hmm. We're all going to go through, because it's just part of life, like we've said in previous episodes, right? It's just everything that has a beginning has an end, you know? Yeah. And this world that they're in takes so much from them that in a way, Frank choosing to do it this way, he's kind of also in a way taking control of how he wants to go and how he's ready after being given so many precious years. Because I think he even makes a comment of similar to that, that Bill gave him, being able to live so many years. Because think about it, like it's a world that's like on really hard mode. It's like a really challenge mode. And just the fact that they got old, man, like they aged in a world where anything and everything can kill you, either humans or these like zombie-like creatures can kill you. Anything is out to get you. And just the fact that you can grow old is already, I think, a gift. And what better of a gift than to have aged with your person, Mm-hmm. Like being able to have experienced so many wonderful years with that other person of yours and just, being happy for so long and, going through, because even the challenging things are worth remembering when you are with that, with your person, because you get to solve at the end of the day, the problem, whatever the problem is, or if you don't solve the problem, at least you get to grieve the problem still with that other person. So Frank does not want to see Bill suffer anymore by having to take care of him, and doesn't want to see Bill see him degrade any further, because to a point, Frank's also doing this not just for Bill, but he's doing it for himself as well. Like nobody wants to be remembered as this like meek, fragile, human being. And that's why to a point he wanted to get himself off of bed, right? That's why he himself to a point wanted to feed himself, and have a drink and just be like, hey, let's just be normal for one last day. Let that be how we remember each other for one last night, have that one special dinner, have, that one special drink, and I get it. Bill, it's hard to see your significant other go through all of this. But in a way, like it shows also the amount of love that they have each other, for understanding that he had to allow him to want this and help him get through this with him. And then I knew he was gonna also. I knew he wasn't gonna stay alive. Yeah. I mean, we all knew that was coming, because I felt. I guess that's where the other thing about the writers that like got me pretty good was like, it's something I would have done too. I would have not let Moose go on her own. I would have gone with Moose, realistically. Like, it would have been something I would have done. To be honest with you, I I would have also put a bajillion horse pills to go ahead and also make sure that I was out. You know, I couldn't see myself in a world where I couldn't be with my person anymore, especially after so many years that we gave each other, and there's nothing else to do. Like we've done everything already. What else is there to do? Let's just remember each other one last moment in this weird world, the this way, and that's that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we all knew that was the only way it was going to happen, because like I think in Bill's, I mean, you kind of touched upon this with using yourself and Moose, but like for Bill, it's like, what more of life could he have left, really? Like, he's losing the person that really helped to shape his world all these years, who really helped him to become who he is. And like, why would you want to live in a world without that person? Especially in an apocalyptic world too. Like, it just wouldn't be the same. I mean, you think about how, like, I'm not saying it's the same, but to kind of try to use it in a way that feels similar. Like when you break up with someone and you, like, everything reminds you of them. The way the walls, the paintings that are on the wall, it's the way that you wake up in the morning. It's the way that there's a lot of things that have the imprint of that person that you were with. Yeah. Right. Or in this case, like in and I'll use like my relationship with my partner, Janine. Like, you know, if we weren't together anymore, it would be devastating to me, because my world has been so shaped by her. Like the way that like my mornings start, the way that my cats are when we wake up, the way that like how my weekends are, how I communicate. There's so many things, or like even just like the way that I learned how to be able to sit with myself. She's really helped me with that a lot. Being able to learn how to sit with my thoughts and be able to communicate them. Like those things they may seem small in some way, and you know, you could ask yourself like, why is that important? But like, my world has been changed irrevocably by her, and you know, and it would just be weird. The world would be a weird place without her being there. It would be like as if if the world had a filter on it, like a Snapchat filter, an Instagram filter. That filter would be gone, and it just would not look or feel the same. So I can understand why for Bill, it's like, how else would it have gone? Like, you are my person. Like you said, you are my person, you are my world, and this world would never be the same without you. So of course I'm gonna go with you. Like, that's how I show you that I love you. Is that you don't have to go through this alone.
Thus proving that we can just spawn new kids. That's what I'm saying. Just kidding.
And you can leave them in the house with a ghost as you burn it down. Got it. Yeah. I hear you loud and clear, buddy.
It all comes back into circle.
But no, it's a beautiful end. And I mean, like, I know that there's a little bit more at the end of the episode, you know, with Joel and Ellie getting there and, you know, her finding the gun and all that, but I kind of feel like this episode really needs to be, for our podcast, for all intents and purposes, I think the focus should mainly remain on Bill and Frank's story.
Agreed.
Because at the end of the day, like, their story is profoundly moving. There's a reason why it's probably the best episode in the series, in my opinion, is because of what it symbolizes.
I agree.
So
I agree. Yeah. Because even when after it came out, it was out on reviews, on movie review sites, it was on everywhere. And, you know, some of the biggest titles were, you know, how they were able to make even people that are not, you know, LGBTQ friendly fall in love with this couple, dude, of like how they told this story. Like you fell in love with them. The way that they wrote this story, you really felt like how do I say it? can't say the third wheel. You saw this from like they did it so well that we saw it all through like,
It felt like
I don't
we
know,
were
a camera lens, man. Yeah.
It felt like the way that people said, I think people said, is like it's as if like we were invading their personal life, private life. Like
Yes, we were. I feel like a fly on the wall, man. Honestly.
Yeah. We were like the ghost that possesses your kid in the future. Yeah. No, but like it's true though, because it's like the way that it was so intimate as an episode, the way it was so carefully crafted with like love and consideration, and then their characters like story that defies all odds of a world that is built to kill you. It's very profoundly moving, and it does feel as if like you're encroaching on someone's space and watching the someone's private life, and that speaks a lot to the way that it's written. And I'm grateful that when they decided to adapt this video game into the TV series, they didn't stick with the original story in the game, because it would have been so different. I feel like this was the story that the characters deserved, like completely. So I'm glad that happened. I wanted to touch on one last thing.
Yeah,
if that's right, because you mentioned something that Moose does for you, which is she makes gifts for you, and and you know, like how it's so different from being able to, you know, buy gifts and things like that. Because like there's this whole thing, I feel like, where we put so much value on monetary value of gift that it's so sad sometimes when people feel guilty about crafting a gift for their loved one. Like similar to your partner, my person Janine, she makes my anniversary. A lot of her gifts that she makes are handcrafted. They're like, she made me like this calcifer paperclip little bowl that I really love looking at. I have it at my desk. I don't use it for paper clips. I just look at it because it reminds me of her. When I'm at my desk at work, I have a little cookie jar that she made me with all these little small trinkets that she made of clay herself that are adorable. And I open it on occasion and I take stuff out and I see little notes on them, and it makes me feel happy and warm. When I am having a shit day at work, I get to look at that and I get to feel happy and grateful. I have a card that she made, I think for our first anniversary, where she basically put the locations of our dates as if like looking on it on a map and showing where our first dates were, as like in a heart shape, to say like, this is our journey and this is what we've been through together. And those gifts stick out far more to me than anything that's been bought. Like, you know, she got us these, I mean, like other stuff she's gotten have been customized to where like, even though she bought it, it's still very personal. Like she got me a Pokemon card that has us in like the first gen style of Pokemon for our anniversary. And it's like, I would never want her to feel guilty for making that stuff, because it shows the amount of time. Like if you think of currency, time is a currency, and the amount of time that she took to make this stuff, the amount of thought that she had to put into it, the way that she had to go about it, like that's priceless. You can never put a price on that. And
correct.
It just, like you said, like this show just reminds you that even the smallest, tiniest things are the most meaningful to us all when they're from someone that we love.
Exactly. Which will never be children. And again, sorry kids, you just, you know.
So don't be the firstborn. Got it.
just be. It's just copy paste. You know, it's.
Oh my god.
It is. Sorry.
No, I had a thought, but I don't know. I don't want to share it.
Do it.
I'm sorry, Moose, and I'm sorry to any listeners out there, but I just imagine like the babies inside like kicking each other, be like, "You first, get out there! No. It's not gonna be me!" Like,
fuck no! I like my mental health.
One. You're the trial and error, not me. Go.
They're like playing like little paper rock scissors. Oh man. That's awesome. Yep,
God.
that's probably what's gonna happen.
Sorry, Moose.
That's probably what's
so
gonna
sorry.
happen.
Silver and
probably
Anbu
laughing her ass off.
canceled.
Yes, I got Ambu to cancel himself too. But yeah, I guess to kind of end the episode, honestly, like Ambu said, I don't think the episode it was even worth Ellie and Joel. I mean, in summary, they got there, they found out, they got more stuff, they moved on to their story. That's basically what happened. They didn't really add a lot of value to the episode. If anything, you can see that Joel is hurt because to a point he did really also get close to them, right?
Yeah.
But aside from that, nothing else extra happens. I mean, Bill left them hooked up, right? Left them a vehicle, I think. He left him the key to all his little supply area. Ellie loved it because she wanted guns. But yeah, it was such an awesome episode, guys. I hope that if anything can come out of this episode is that that you, the listener, takes a moment to actually watch that episode and enjoy it, and maybe even watch it with your person, and see how it hits you. Because I got to see it with Moose, and it definitely, I think we experienced it very, very similar. So please give the episode a chance, but also pay your tabs, guys. Again, what do we have to remind you? Pay the barkeep. I mean, she does really good work. She always keeps this place clean. I mean, I don't know why. I know we know who you are. So please, like, you just leave, you order stuff, and you say to put the drinks under our names. Not cool, man. We know who you are. You know who you are.
And we see the ones that order the special meat. We see you. We know which ones you are. Yeah. I'm looking at you over there. Yeah, go pay your tab. Go on.
I don't even order the special meat for myself. But before you go and pay your tab, make sure you guys take a moment to go ahead and follow us on social media to make sure you guys are staying on top of episodes, making sure that you know when things are coming out. Also, to give us feedback, subscribe, like, comment. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't like. Tell us what you want to see. Tell us if we actually got canceled. Please let us know. And if it's my kids in like 10 years from now, I'm sorry, man. It is what it is. You can leave your comments. If somehow I'm still monitoring the comments for this podcast, I guess I'll get around to looking at it. Probably get a laugh out of it. But yeah.
Yeah, and seriously, for anyone who's afraid to like actually put any constructive criticism because they know there's worries about tanking stuff, things like that. If you want to, I think my DMs are open on Discord. You can send me a DM telling me what you thought we could do better. I'm the type where I'm happy to hear what people think we can do better, because I want to be open to that stuff. I feel like that makes sure that we are aware of what the community is saying, and we want to make sure that you felt heard. So you can always send that to us, or you can even send us a message at the TBD Tavern on, I'm going to call it Twitter. I'm sorry, Muskrat. We're going to call it Twitter.
Yep. Twitter. Always be Twitter.
Yep. So you can send us a message at TBD Tavern. We always love feedback. I think that's a general consensus. And
yes.
You can let us know
send it all to Ambu, not to me.
Or you can let us know what mead you want the barkeep to look out for, because we'll try to look for it. But you still need to pay your tab. Yeah.
You do need to pay your tab. I swear to God, I will use this tiny little guitar that I have here, and I will yeet it at you. I swear to God, I know who you are. I can see you. Okay, I know what you've been doing.
And to be clear, we got some gatos in here that are watching all of you. And we got the wanted poster of Puppy Pascal watching you disapprovingly if you do not pay for it. So you don't want to feel that gaze on you, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to feel the disappointment.
Disrespect to Pascal.
Exactly. Pay your tabs. But thank you everybody for joining us. As Silver said, please follow us on social media if you haven't. Tell your friends about us if you think they like us. And if you don't like our podcast, tell your worst enemies about us. Let them know. make them come to us. You know, just whatever, however you want to do it, whatever floats your boat. Just send them our way.
Send them our way. Torture them with the sound of our voices. All right, guys. Goodbye.
All right, take care. Bye.